Hi, my name is Mackenzie Herlihy.
I'm Parker Zarek.
I'm Summer Martin.
I'm Cassie Burtis.
And I'm Sarah Rogan, and we're going to be presenting on the impacts of natural disasters of tourism-dependent areas.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how natural disasters impact tourism-dependent areas. We're going to be going over some history of some natural disasters that have happened, some facts and how they impact these areas, and recommendations that we have and how we can fix these problems. In 1999, a 7.4 earthquake on the Richter scale hit Turkey. This resulted in massive casualties and a large decrease in tourism in this area. False media reports during this time also created a very negative impact on tourism, such as hotel cancellations and changes. This caused inbound tourism to decrease by 30% compared to the previous year. At this time, the Turkish Ministry of Tourism started the restoration process precisely a month after. They used positive media coverage with an emphasis on safety. They hosted travel agencies and journalists to see the recovery at firsthand and helped create a new image for this nation.
On September 20, 2017, Hurricane Maria hit Puerto Rico, causing major devastation. With them not being a true American territory, they didn't have many responses to the hurricane. They struggled with power outages and water shortages, and they started a campaign, Cover the Progress, to help rebuild. They focused more on positive imagery instead of showing their disaster. After this, they focused their efforts and finances on getting back on their feet to rebuild their tourism.
So here's some facts that we got from the history of these natural disasters on these dependent areas. The poor are usually hit hardest in these disasters in damages, death rates, and recovery, and these people are usually women, children, and racial minorities because they don't have resources to rebuild or even prevent these disasters in the first place. The recovery process is very fragile in these less developed countries because they don't have the human and financial resources for tourism marketing and development, poor governance structures, and lack of tourism planning, and therefore it makes it a lot more difficult to manage these disasters when they do occur. Tourism organizations and businesses can work together to rebuild much quicker, and a good example of this is the Mexico Tourism Board working great with the government to help keep the economy strong and on track after Hurricane Odile, and this is just one example of a great way that this partnership can work.
So the most impactful thing on tourism isn't actually usually the natural disaster itself. It's usually the media who likes to portray a really worse image than how it actually turned out from the damage. And this creates a negative stigma towards that area, which usually keeps tourists away because they want to spend their money on places that are quote-unquote safer or whatever. And this usually leads to like a period of time where there's really bad tourism. But a way that tourist destinations have tried to stop this impact from happening is they're trying to like bundle together airfare and hotel rates and kind of put a discount on there. That way it'll increase the tourism right after a natural disaster, and after those few months after the natural disaster happened, the people will eventually see that it's not bad from the people that have gone, and it usually turns out to get back to afloat.
So we came up with 6 different recommendations for how tourism-dependent areas should handle the recovery process. So the first one is to have a natural disaster fund. Essentially, that's where revenue that's taken from the inbound tourism that comes in is placed in a special reserve so that should a natural disaster happen in that area, they have a little amount of money to pull from to help in that recovery process. That way it can help rebuild faster. Another program we came up with is educational programs for disaster-prone areas so that businesses and individuals and employees are better prepared should a natural disaster happen, and they can prepare their businesses for natural disasters as well. The third reason is for the local governments to bring about better media attention. Like we said before, media controls a lot of the stigmatization of how a tourist-dependent area is portrayed. So just to have the local government's focus be on positive media attention really helps influence that tourist area. The fourth reason is to hire locals with tourism occupations or tourism-related occupations to help in the recovery process. That way, when they're not actually making any money or income from the tourists because of the natural disaster, they are still making a living, and the recovery process is still being speeded up because they're hiring these people out. And then also to have the attractions or the major hot spots in the area to be the first that are rebuilt, aside from hospitals and schools, obviously. But those attractions are the first things that are rebuilt. That way we can start that recovery process of having that income come in from the tourism faster. And lastly, like we said, bundle deals. Those are hugely important, and a lot of people are definitely interested in that. They love discounts. So offering bundle deals or large discounts for tourists to come in, that helps bring in people, and also those people, that word of mouth goes out after they leave that tourist area saying that it's safe to come back, and that really influences how people perceive a tourist area. So this is just some of the reasons why natural disasters happen in tourist dependent areas and how we can go about recovering these areas as well. Thank you.